What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. In the last video, I introduced you to 16-day intermittent fasting, and I broke it down into 3 simple steps for getting started. But if you're like me, you really like to have things broken down into intricate detail with real-world examples so you know how to do something right the first time. So what I thought I would do is in this video, I would just break down what an entire day of intermittent fasting looks like in my life. So I'll go through my entire schedule, exactly when my feeding windows and my fasting windows start. I'll talk about exactly what I eat and what I drink on a typical day, both for weight loss or what that looks like in maintenance as well. So basically everything I've done to get from where I was at the start of my weight loss journey to where I am now, and what I've done to keep that weight off. And also what I've done with all of my clients as well to have the same success with them. So before we jump into it, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell button right next to it so you get notified of all of my future videos, and we'll just jump into it, all right? Here we go. Like I said in the last video, I typically follow 16/8 intermittent fasting most days of my life. And my schedule tends to be that very typical feeding window from noon till about 8 p.m. and then I fast from about 8 p.m. through until noon the next day. So that's my 16-hour fasting window, and my 8-hour feeding window is from noon to 8 p.m. Now sometimes if I'm really busy and I'm feeling really good, I'll push my fasting window to be a little bit longer. Maybe I'll fast from 8 p.m. until maybe 1 or 2 p.m. and get more of an 18-hour fasting window those days. It's only on the days where I'm really busy and I'm not super hungry. If I'm hungry, or if I'm just having a day where my hunger hormones are getting a little out of control, then I may even break my fasting window a little bit early and have a little bit of a longer feeding window. I don't obsess over it, but generally speaking, noon to 8 p.m. is my feeding window, 8 p.m. to noon is my fasting window. Now let's talk about exactly what I drink during my fasting window from the time that I wake up through the time that I break my fast with lunch. So typically every single day, I start my day not with coffee. Most people start their day with coffee, and I do drink coffee, but I don't drink coffee first. And this is something that I teach a lot of my clients. When you first wake up in the morning, you're already pretty dehydrated. You haven't had any water for several hours, and your body's dehydrated. The reason you're so tired in the morning is not because you need caffeine right away, it's because you need water and electrolytes. So I start my day every single morning with 32 ounces of a little hydration cocktail that I make every single day. Before I go to bed every night, I make 32 ounces of this hydration cocktail for me, and I make 32 ounces for my wife, and I sit it on our bedside tables so that as soon as we wake up in the morning, it's right there for us to grab and start drinking immediately. So what do I put in this hydration cocktail? It's 32 ounces of purified water. And then what I do is I add 1 flavoring packet of 5-calorie Crystal Light fruit punch flavoring. I know. A lot of you guys out there are saying, but wait, Matt, you're doing a video about fasting and you're already drinking calories with the very first thing that you have every day. Now, I told you in the last video, there are people out there who will argue that if you're fasting, you absolutely can have 0 calories. Otherwise, you're not really fasting. I would argue that in my experience, the point of fasting for weight loss is to create a calorie deficit, and 5 calories from my water flavoring is not going to ruin the gigantic calorie deficit that I'm getting from skipping an entire meal and a snack or two. So shoot me. I like to have some flavor in my drinks. I don't like plain water. I just don't. So I put 32 ounces of water. I put 1 flavoring packet in there. It's 5 calories, not a big deal. And then I also add about between 1/4 and 1/2 of a teaspoon of finely ground Himalayan salt for electrolytes. Now, that is something that I do that I've had great experience with. When you wake up in the morning, you're dehydrated and you're electrolyte depleted. So that lack of energy that you have in the morning is not because you need caffeine, it's because you need hydration and you need electrolytes. So by getting some of those natural electrolytes and the Himalayan salt into that drink, it really gives me a lot of energy right away before I even get to my coffee. I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I drink coffee because I just really like the taste of coffee. So first thing, 32 ounces of that hydration cocktail, 32 ounces of water, 1 flavoring packet, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon finely ground Himalayan salt, and that gets me feeling really good right off the bat. I have that 32 ounces down within the first hour of me being awake. I drink about 16 ounces of that before I jump in the shower, and then as soon as I'm out of the shower, I drink the other 32 ounces of that water. After that, that is when I have my coffee. My coffee, I usually start drinking my coffee roughly an hour into my day. So I'll have have somewhere between 16, probably about 16 ounces of, I have like a little Yeti tumbler that I carry around with coffee. Sometimes I drink it all, sometimes I don't drink it all. But what I typically do with my coffee, I don't drink it black. Just like I don't like my water to be completely plain, I don't like my coffee to be completely plain either. My wife, she drinks coffee black. I can't do it. I like some flavor in my life. So if I am trying to lose weight or trying to lean out, I only put calorie-free stevia powder or liquid stevia into my coffee. So just to add a little bit of sweetness. Now there are some flavored calorie-free stevia sweeteners out there. I like the ones from Sweet Leaf. They have chocolate, they have vanilla, they have a caramel. I think they have a hazelnut maybe. They have a few different flavors. They're just calorie-free, flavored with natural flavors, stevia drops that you just put into your coffee, and they're pretty good. I get those off of Amazon, and I'll put some links down in the description of this video in case you want to check those out. Other than that, I just put in plain stevia powder to add some sweetness to my coffee if I'm trying to lose weight. Now, if I'm not trying to lose weight, like right now, I'm not trying to lose weight currently in my life, I'm just maintaining. If I'm just maintaining, I really like to use the layered superfood coffee creamers in my coffee. They're about 45 calories per tablespoon. They are coconut based, mostly fat with just some trace amounts of carbohydrate in there, but they taste amazing. So I'll put 1 tablespoon of that powdered layered coffee creamer. They have cacao flavor, which is probably my favorite. They have a mint chocolate. They have vanilla. They have pumpkin spice if you're into that. I'm not, but my wife loves it. They have a functional mushroom coffee creamer. And this is, guys, this video, none of my videos are sponsored. I'm just letting you guys know what I really like. I'll put links to the layered coffee creamers as well below, but they just taste amazing. They're low enough calorie that when I'm maintaining, I still am getting most of the benefits from my fast, but I really love the way they taste. And since they're mostly fat-based, they're not messing with me a whole lot during the fast. So I use 1 tablespoon of that when I'm just maintaining during a fast, and I'll still add a little bit of stevia powder to that to get the desired amount of sweetness. So again, if I'm trying to lose weight, just stevia powder or stevia drops, and if I'm not trying to lose weight, but I'm maintaining, I use a tablespoon of my favorite, whatever flavor of layered coffee creamer that I'm wanting for the day, and then I add a little bit of stevia to taste. Now, after I get through my 32 ounces of water and I get through my coffee for the day, I generally will drink somewhere between 32 and 64 ounces more of water between the time I finish my coffee, which is probably around 9:30 in the morning, to noon, when I typically will have some kind of lunch. So on a daily basis, I'm usually trying to drink around a gallon of water. So if I have 32 ounces as soon as I wake up in my hydration cocktail, and then I have 32 to 64 ounces before lunch, I'm really doing great with hydration before I even get halfway through my day. And that just makes sure that later in the day, when I'm starting to get closer and closer to the end of my day toward bedtime, that I'm not trying to cram down water in a way that's gonna have me getting up 5 times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So 32 ounces in the morning, then I have my coffee, and then I try to get in another 32 to 64 ounces of water. I still add the same flavorings to my water. A lot of times I use those Crystal Light packets. I just go through phases. Sometimes I like to use True Lemon packets. They've got True Lemon packets that are 5 to 10 calories a packet. They've got lemon in, they've got strawberry lemonade, they've got a bunch of different ones. Sometimes I'll use the Mio calorie-free water flavorings. I also really like, if I'm really trying to dial things in, I will use, just like the same company that makes the sweet drops for your coffee that I talked about with the chocolate vanilla flavorings, if I'm trying to do weight loss with my coffee, they also make fruity flavorings for your water. And the great thing about those is they're 0 calorie and they don't have any dyes or anything like that. So if I'm really trying to really clean things up and only have things that have a small number of ingredients and don't have a bunch of dyes and all that stuff in them, then I'll get those off of Amazon and I'll use those in my water to flavor my water with fruity type flavorings. So that's finishing out my fasting window. Now, real quick, before we jump into my feeding window, go ahead and tell me in the comments, based on everything that I've talked about with my example of what I have during my fasting window and what I drink, what would you have during your fasting window? What makes sense for you? What do you think is gonna be something that you're gonna use as your go-tos? You're gonna be a plain water, plain plain black coffee kind of a person? Or are you gonna be more of someone like me who likes to have flavoring in your beverages and all that stuff? Tell me in the comments below. I would really love to know what that's gonna look like for you. And then we'll go ahead and jump into what my feeding window looks like on a daily basis. And I'll actually go through all of my meals and exactly what I eat in those meals and kind of how sometimes I change it up from time to time, okay? So once I've got through my fasting window and I'm ready to break my fast with lunch, I usually do about the same thing every single day. So I'll usually have a serving of lean protein, and then I'll have some kind of vegetable with it, and then I usually will have a serving of carbohydrate with my lunch. So exactly what that looks like on a typical day would be probably around 6 ounces of lean chicken breast, some lean ground beef, maybe shrimp, pork loin. I try to go for leaner cuts of meat if I'm having a carbohydrate with my meal. Now, if I'm not having a serving of carbohydrate with my meal, then I might go for a fattier cut of meat like a chicken thigh or some steak or something like that, or pork chop if I'm going for a fattier cut of pork. But usually I'll have something like some grilled chicken breast, some shrimp with some Brussels sprouts or broccoli, or maybe a small side salad, and usually about a half a cup of steamed rice, something like that, to get some carbohydrate in, right? So that's a pretty typical lunchtime meal for me. Next, I usually don't have a whole lot between lunch and dinner. Sometimes I will have a snack between lunch and dinner if I'm feeling hungry. Usually what I have in the form of a snack is going to be something completely protein or vegetable based. I don't like to snack on carbohydrates or fats, and I don't teach my clients to snack on carbohydrates or fats either. So some good examples of protein or vegetable based snacks would be something like a protein shake, a whey protein isolate that is very lean, very high protein, not a lot of carbohydrates or fat, some jerky, some beef jerky or some pork jerky. I make my own jerky a lot of times out of pork loin, and that's really good for a snack. You could do something like cottage cheese. I personally don't love cottage cheese, but a lot of my clients use cottage cheese as a snack. You could do something like lunch meat, a fat-free Greek yogurt, something that is going to be made primarily of protein, or you could do some raw vegetables, something like that. But you want it to be protein or vegetable based so that you're not bringing in something like carbohydrate or fat in between your meals that is going to distract your body from burning a whole lot of body fat. So I'm not a fan of snacking on carbohydrates or fats, but I love snacking on protein-based or vegetable-based snacks. So usually something along those lines is what I'll have. So I have my lunch, and then I have sometimes a snack in between, and then I get to dinner. Now dinner, typically, most days of the week, I'm just having protein and vegetables, and I'm not, a lot of time, me personally, I don't have a serving of carbohydrate at dinner or any kind of extra fats at dinner. I just have meat and veggies. And since I'm just having meat and veggies a lot of times at night, I do tend to have a slightly fattier cut of meat. I'll have some burger or some steak, or fattier cut of pork, like some pork chop, something like that, or some chicken thighs, something where I'm not super worried about the amount of fat calories that I'm getting in that meat. It tastes a little bit better. And so that's typically what I have. I'll have that, 6 to 8 ounces with some vegetables, some Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts, roasted Brussels sprouts, maybe some roasted broccoli or mixed vegetables. Or if I'm not having that, I'll have a salad, right? So I keep it simple, protein and vegetables. Sometimes if I don't have a carbohydrate at lunch, then I'll have that carbohydrate at dinner. It just depends. I don't always do it the same way, and you can do that too. Sometimes you can, if you want to be like me, you can have your carb at lunch, not have one at dinner, or if you really love your carbohydrates, maybe you have one at both. But if you do have a carbohydrate at dinner, I typically would recommend make sure you stick to a leaner cut of meat so you don't have a ton of fat calories coming in plus an added carbohydrate to the meal. That way you keep your meal from getting too high in calorie content, okay? So my lunch, protein, carbohydrate most days, and some veggies, snack, protein or vegetable based. My dinners usually are meat and vegetable based. Sometimes I have a carb, sometimes I don't. If I'm trying to lose weight, most of the time I won't have much after dinner. If I do, it's gonna be a protein or vegetable based snack, but that's it. I don't snack or have a dessert that is carbohydrate or fat based after dinner for sure. Now, if I'm in maintenance and I'm not trying to lose weight, I will blur those lines a little bit. Sometimes I might have a serving of almonds or some kind of nuts, or maybe a protein bar bar after dinner that is kind of makes me feel like I'm having some dessert. Or sometimes if I'm in maintenance and I'm not really worried about losing weight of any kind or leaning out, then I'll have an alcoholic beverage at night. I might have, I'm not a beer drinker or anything like that. I like, whiskey or bourbon, 1 ounce of whiskey or bourbon. Sometimes I'll mix it with something like a calorie-free, like a Coke Zero or something like that, but not doing that every night of the week. That's just sort of a thing that I will enjoy sometimes if I'm not trying to lose weight. If I'm just maintaining, then perfectly acceptable to do that, just in the maintenance scope of things, right? So that's more or less what my feeding window would look like. You've seen my lunch. We talked about my snacks being protein and vegetable based, my dinner being mostly meat and veggie based at night, and then what my snack might look like after dinner if I have one, or what I might have after dinner if I'm not trying to lose weight and I'm just trying to maintain. So I hope this, guys, gives you a little bit of a visual or a more detailed example of what a full day of intermittent fasting might look like. And so that you can take some of what you learned here and really implement that in your own schedule and sort of mimic some of the things that I'm doing to see if you get great results with those as well. Now, what I've done to try to make this really easy for you guys is I took a lot of the information from my last video where I introduced 16-8 intermittent fasting and this video where I broke down this schedule, and I've combined it into a PDF download in the form of a checklist, a getting started with intermittent fasting checklist that you can download using a link that I'll put down beneath this video in the description. And you can download it and open it up, and it will walk you through the steps that I laid out in the last video using the examples in this video from my life. And it'll combine all that together so that you can just boom, 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 follow down the list, knock it out, and make sure that you jump in and you can start fasting without a bunch of hiccups and without making a bunch of mistakes that I made when I was first learning to fast. So that's it for today, guys. Grab the checklist in the description and let me know in the comments, was this helpful for you? Are you someone who's like me, who just really likes to have clear-cut, real-life examples and details? And if so, let me know what out of my daily schedule that you learned and that you might take and implement in your schedule as you're starting to get started with intermittent fasting. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification button so you'll know when the next video in this series comes out. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.